super excited about this. It is a relatively new feature. I think they rolled it out a couple of months ago. Spent a few hours figuring this out. I think I have a little bit of a steep learning curve. Hopefully my playing with it will help you learn this quicker. So I have to tell you that prior to HoneyBook rolling this out, I used to use sessions to create my mini session signups. And if I were to compare the two, apples to apples, I do like sessions better. However, I hated how my mini session signups with sessions were using a separate CRM for like my fall calendar, which is my busiest time. So all of the financial details, the client information, the calendar was all through sessions and not in my HoneyBook. And I adore my HoneyBook, so I'm super excited that now with my mini session signups, everything's going to be in one place. My financial reports at the end of the year will be correct. My calendar will be correct. Again, I just have everything in one place and streamlined, and you know how I love that. So I do plan to use HoneyBook to create my mini session signups this fall. To be honest, I haven't used it yet for mini session signups. I just have been playing with it, figuring out how I'm going to do it. So today I'm going to talk to you a teeny bit, and then we're going to go in and create a mini session signup. So the blocks you will use, it actually reminds me a little bit of a smart file, the way they have smart files organized in HoneyBook. So we'll use a lead form, a scheduler, a form, and an invoice to create our mini session signup. And then it's important to note that the location of your mini session will be your anchor. Because of this, let's see. So there are some limitations with creating the mini session signups. And so using the location as your anchor means that you're going to have to create a separate HoneyBook signup for each location that you offer for mini sessions. So if you were only offering one location, you could easily create your mini session signup, grab the link, and then use it to advertise your mini session. So whether that's on social media or an email or whatever you're going to use. Usually offer a few locations for mini sessions, and they can't all be stacked in the same lead form on HoneyBook. So because of this, because I have to make a separate lead form mini session sign up for each location that I offer, what I would do is create a web page or a blog post and then have each lead form link or mini session link located on my blog page. So pretend like this is like your blog page, and you'd have some general fall mini session info at the top. And then I'd have little blurbs about each location I was offering. I'd like say Bull Creek mini sessions. I'd have the date, time, cost, deliverables, some sample photos, and then I'd have a link to my HoneyBook booking. I would do that again for Commons Ford Ranch, for if I had like my VW bus mini sessions and my Secret Theater mini sessions. That is how I would do it. And then I would take this webpage link and I would advertise my mini sessions with that. So I just have one link that brings everybody here at where they could sign up. That is how I would do it. And the reason we have to do it, this way, is because of these limitations. And I just want to talk about them before I go in and build the sign up form so that you can be aware as we're building it. So your limitations are you can't have more than one scheduler on a lead form. And a scheduler is very similar to Calendly. So if you've used Calendly before, you'll be very familiar with that. So this is where the scheduler is anchored to your location. You could have multiple days connected to one location on your scheduler, but you can't have multiple locations. So because you can only have one scheduler per lead form, you can't make a lead form that has a bunch of locations on it. You have to create separate separate signups for each location. Your payment option has to be the last page. I just wanted to point this out so you are aware of it. You cannot delete the name and email section on the lead form. And the reason I bring this up is because I actually pull in a previous form template that I've already created. And when I do that, it has the name and the email on it. So I just delete it really quick because the name and the email is already on the lead form. This will make sense again when we go do it together. Okay, this is also super important. You cannot have a payment schedule. What this means is when somebody goes to pay for your mini session, it is just one payment and it has to be on that day. So you can't have them pay like a deposit and then have a schedule for the remaining balance due on a different day. This works just fine for me because I have people pay for mini sessions in full. However, if you do it where you do a deposit and then have them pay the remaining balance, the workaround around this would be for the lead form or the mini session sign up, just have it be the deposit. And then once they have paid and they're in your HoneyBook's system, you could go ahead and add another invoice and have it be due on whatever day, like the mini session day, for the remaining balance. That is how I would do it if I wanted two separate payments. Okay, so with that, let's head over to HoneyBook and build a lead form as a mini session sign up. Okay. So what I would do is come to HoneyBook, go to Tools, click Lead Forms, and I just want to say, we're on Lead Forms, Create New, and select Mini Session. Okay, this might be a little rough because like I said, I just learned this and it was a little bit hard, so bear with me. Okay, so we're going to say edit this template. We're going to say create session. I would name it the location. So for this exercise, I'm going to say Bull Creek mini session because this is where I offer these as a fall mini session each year. I change it to in-person, set duration, I would say 15 minutes. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this once we get into the scheduler. So just my mini sessions at Bull Creek are usually just 10 minutes. There is a section in the scheduler where you can denote a buffer, but every time I do it, it doesn't work. And so I find it easier just to say 15 minutes, even though I'm only shooting for 10, then I give myself 5 minutes for the client exchange, so to speak. Okay, so I could select this and pull up an existing scheduler, but I'm not going to do that because I want you to see how I make it from scratch. Create session. Do you want to charge for your session? Yes. I'm going to say $375. Next. And we have an opportunity to edit this. So this just kind of gets us started, but then we go in and edit all of this a little bit better. Okay. So these are the lead form questions. And like I said, you cannot delete this one. You cannot delete this one. I am going to go ahead and delete these. If I wanted to add a question, I could right here, but you also have a little bit of an easier place to edit. So I would just do this for this part right now just to get us in and going. Okay, add a lead form title, Bull Creek mini session, just to keep it all the same. You could opt out of confirmation emails, but I like that they send a confirmation email, and this is what it looks like. It has a smart section right here where it just pulls in the client's name. So I haven't figured out how to edit this. I'm sure there's a space to do it somewhere, but this is fine for me. Maybe it's in the email template section. I might go in and look after this. Anyway, let's see if it says Remember to disable our system's confirmation email if you activate a trigger automation. So actually, I probably wouldn't send a confirmation email. Okay. Save and preview. Okay. This is where we do our advanced editing. So I usually go through that first part pretty quick because I can change everything in here and I find it easier in this section. So click advanced editing. This is where, obviously you change text. Bull Creek mini session. I would add the date, the month, any other information I wanted to put right here, I would certainly do. Here, I would add some images. And you can see there are tons of different ways that you can add images. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can play with it. I like that you can stretch it or center it. You can make a rounded radius. It's just cool. So you'd have fun playing with that. Okay, please select a date and a time. This is the scheduler, and I'm not going to lie, I have a little bit of trouble with this, but hopefully it'll go smoothly. So here is where you click Edit Details and Availability. Okay, so in Creek, Bull Creek mini session, I would probably add the address right here. This section right here, when can this session be scheduled? I would just probably keep it on indefinitely, but if you wanted a time frame where they could only schedule it for a certain amount of time, like if your mini session was on May 11th and you only wanted people to be able to schedule until May 10th, then this is where you would set those parameters with a fixed date window, or you could add a rolling window. For me, I just do it indefinitely. The session color is more of an internal metric. So if you have built a few different schedulers, then internally they add a color to it. So it's just easier and organized for you. Sorry, I should come back up here. The duration is the duration per mini session. It's not the duration of time that you're out there. So like I do mini sessions, let's just say I'm out there from 5 to 7 p.m. That doesn't go here because technically I could write that. I could say 2 hours instead of 15 minutes, but the duration is the time for each mini session. Use meeting date as a project date, yes. You can add additional information right here if you want. You can add reminders. You could say also send to me. You can have it go to email, or you can have it go to email and a text. Something to note about text. Contacts must have a valid phone number and consent to receive text. So that is up to you how you want to do that. I probably would just do email and personally send a text and not have an automated text. But that is completely up to you. Okay, this part is tricky, and I always double check it. The first thing I do is I go through and I remove all availability. Notice that I have this checked, so it's apply to all Wednesdays. Whoops. Delete, save, delete. And I'm just going to double check. Okay, it looks like I currently am unavailable. Yes. Okay, so let's say that Saturday, May 11th is the day that I want to do mini sessions. I would add a time. This is where I write the time period. Make sure you say PM if it's PM or AM if it's AM. Okay. So I would uncheck. Oh, shoot. Okay, this is what I was going to tell you. So sorry. So when you come in here and you're making yourself available, I have noticed that you need to uncheck that first before you set your availability. For some reason, if I set my availability first and then unchecked it, it wouldn't always go through. And it would have me available on every Saturday. So make sure when you come in here and you're doing your time, uncheck this first and then set your availability. This is where I was talking about the buffers before. I mean, I tried to set a buffer for 5 minutes after a client schedules, but it just didn't work, and that's why I added the buffer into my duration time. That's just the experience that I had. You can try and play around with it and see if it works better for you. Set a minimum amount of time that you require from when the session is scheduled and when it will occur. I'm not going to do that. Custom increments. Select the increments of time in which your availability will appear. So 15 minutes. Save and finish. Save and oh, that's because I didn't have that. Okay, save and finish. Okay, something to note is when you're in the editing, the advanced editing, and you've created your scheduler, like you can't see it. You can't play around with it at all. So until we click preview, we're not going to be able to double check and make sure that this is correct. So we'll do that in just a minute. Okay, now we are at the form section. This is where I would put the form. You can, of course, organize this however you want. You can see how it's currently organized, schedule your session, invoice, payment. But right now I'm going to add a form that I already had. And the way I do this is I select questions. Now here you have the option of typing out your own questions, and look at all the different formatting they offer. I think this is so cool. But for me, I'm actually going to go ahead and reuse a form that I created in the legacy templates. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have my policies written in here, and I have to go in and update a couple things like the price, and I would update the dates and things like that, and just made sure it was all pertinent. But I just like that it's all done for me. But because we have this thing up here where we have the name, this is where I would delete the name, an email address, so it's not redundant. Okay, and of course you could edit this however you want. I mean, it's completely customizable, so it's pretty cool. All right, so I have my form, I have my scheduler, and now we're going to go to payment. And like I said before, the payment has to be the last page of your sign up. And I'm just going to show you. If you try to move it, it will say that you can't. Just wanted to show you that just to save you some time if you're wondering. Okay, so I have my Bull Creek mini session payment. Notice how there's not tax on there. Go to invoice settings, add tax details, add tax, but I still have to click this. So I can enter a description right here. If I were doing this, where I was going to add a second payment, and this was only going to be my deposit, I would probably write something about it right here, as well as at the beginning of this whole form, so that I was super clear and people weren't upset or thinking that this was the only payment they were going to have to make for the mini sessions. I just find the clearer you are with that kind of thing, the easier it is. And notice, like, you can't change the date. So the payment is when they send in their form, they have to pay. So I appreciate that, because you don't want to have a bunch of like clients in your pipeline that haven't paid for things. That would just be not good. Okay, so let's preview this and see how we did. Okay. Oops. Okay, so here's my Bull Creek mini session. Obviously, I would make this look a lot better. This is the part that I pay the most attention to. Okay, it did it. Let's make sure it didn't add any other dates in there. Okay, that's good. I would probably have put some text up here, a little blurb about something about like use the arrows on the next to the month to find May 11th and then select the 11th, and then you'll find the times available. Then select your time available. or the time that you want. I don't know why it's not letting me. Maybe because I'm guessing this is because it's just like a preview. I bet that's what it is. Okay, so I would definitely have some instructions about how to use the calendar, because I don't think it's kind of intuitive, but it's not super intuitive. So make sure that you just spell out the instructions. I would put it right under the photos. Okay, here's all of our form. Then we go to the invoice and then payment. Awesome. Okay, so that looks really good. Let's just do something. We're going to publish. Okay, publish, we're published in the live view. Live. Okay, so let's get the link. It says live. View live form. So this is the link that I would use if I were advertising this, or if I put it on my website. And let's just see how this works. So we are actually good. Okay, so I hope that was helpful and not too choppy. The other thing I want to give you before we go really quick is, hold on. Okay, some verbiage that I have found helps me be successful with mini sessions. So you can screenshot this or whatever. Just a few tips. I always have a rain makeup day listed. This is usually the verbiage that I put at the top of like my mini session advertisement, just so it's all really clear. I talk about what mini sessions are, and time slots are back to back with other families, and it's important that they feel comfortable being punctual. If your child takes a while to warm up, it's probably not a good idea to book a mini session. And this is information for my full sessions. The maximum of people that I will admit for mini sessions. And if I say, if you have more than that, please book 2 mini sessions back to back or a full session. Once I receive your completed questionnaire and payment, you are officially booked. And the last thing I said, and I just recently saw this comparison and I thought it was really good. Please note, a good way to think about mini sessions is like paying for a concert. An artist has made a promise to be at a specific venue on a specific date because a group of people have committed to hear them play. If one of those concert goers gets sick and can't make it, the artist doesn't reschedule just for them. They are responsible for selling their ticket to someone else, or they will be out money. Now, this is a little bit harsh. If you have the flexibility when you're running mini sessions to reschedule someone if they're sick or whatever, more power to you. I don't. My falls are so busy. So people that book mini sessions need to be committed to it. If it's a really good client and they do get sick and they're not someone that's messing around with me, like, of course I will reschedule them, but I don't want people booking mini sessions thinking that it's going to be easy to reschedule. So I like to be really upfront about, like, this is when it is, plan on being there. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys use HoneyBook for your mini sessions. I know what I will this fall, and I'm excited about it and curious to see how it goes. Okay, always reach out with questions. Thank you so much.